Okay, I've been asked how to model this corner of the box here. This funky shape, make it nice and clean. Make note, this box is not one gigantic, endless, perfect piece. It doesn't have this infinite shape, so we're gonna make everything out of pieces here, and it's gonna be really down and dirty and fast and simple. So I'm just gonna skip over to Max here, and I'm going to start with a box, and I'm gonna make sure that box is very cube-like. In other words, I'm going to make sure that it is a cube. So it'll be 20 by 20 by 20 in this case. I don't know. It depends on how big you're going to need. Okay. I have put 2 by 2. Let's go 3 by 3. How's that? Something like that. 3 by 3 by 3. Because if we look at the reference there, if I were to segment this up and think about it, this width here is probably 1/3 of the length from here to here. Yeah, it looks good for this demo anyways. So there's my box. I'm going to convert it down to an editable poly. Do not use edit poly modifiers, okay? 4 on the keyboard to get into sub-object for the polygons. I'm going to grab those. I'm going to grab those. And which other ones do I need to grab? I need to grab those. I think that's right. No, I need that one and that one as well. And that one and that one as well. And that one as well. There we go. Hit delete. Looks like yeah, that's right. That looks like it's pretty good so far. So sub-object off, or you can leave it on if you want, but I'm just going to turn the sub-object off. So we need to give this some thickness, right? Because the edges of the box have to, pass into the edges of the box here. So we're going to go ahead and give it some thickness. So I'm going to add a shell modifier. So that's hitting X if you didn't know, and it'll bring up the search. And I'm going to, I think by default, it's set on outer. You could do that if you want, or I changed it to inner. And so I'm going to push that in, something like that maybe, give it some thickness, a little more than I need because it's just going to pass into the box. And then I'm going to simply go in and convert it back down to an editable poly again. I'm going to grab these 3 corners because you can see that she's got this rounded out really nicely on each one of these. So I'm going to grab all 3 of those, 1, 2, 3 right there. And I'm going to right click and go down to my chamfer tool, and this little icon here will open up your caddy that allows you to be able to change all the settings, or you could do it the hard way and find a button or whatever. So with this, then we're going to need to have the amount that is chamfered. You're going to have to set this value to 0.5, which is sort of how curved it is. You can change the amount of segments in it. And of course, we can then curve it up more and get it to curve. Now, based on the drawing, these curves go almost all the way up. So you can see that we're going to run into a problem. It's running into the neighboring ones with the way that I've done it here. So I'm just going to cancel out of this. And I'm going to grab these ones here, and I'm just going to slide them along. So I can easily just move them out of my way, or grab the entire edge loop by double clicking on it and just slide it down out of the way more. I'm going to grab all of those, slide them up and out of the way, out of the way. Okay, and now again, I'm going to grab that one, and that one. And once again, I'm going to go grab that chamfer tool. Okay, and you can see now it's allowed to go even further. So these need to be pretty accurately similar to each other, because I think it'll push them based on how far each of those is. So that's looking pretty good so far. It's got a nice curve to it again. We can go and adjust some values if we need. We could give it more segments if we need. No turbo smooth needed here, sort of thing. So we could round that out some more if we like, and hit go. So that looks pretty good. Now, sub-object off, make sure you turn off sub-object, or you got to turn on some other things. I'm going to add a chamfer modifier. So there's the chamfer modifier. And let's see, turn up the amount, and you can see it's doing some real ugly stuff in some places. It may not be doing what we want. We might have to do some welding of verts, because my guess is we've got multiple verts here at the base of the mesh that are causing problems. Let's check that out. Back down, and if I click, look at look what I've got here. If I highlight that, you can see it doesn't look like it's highlighted. And if I grab it and move it, you can see there's a whole bunch on top of one another in the model here. So where it's created these, it's dropped them on top of one another. Now they are right on top of one another, so we should just be able to choose weld, okay, and weld, okay, and weld those because they're right on top of one another, and choose weld. Now that I pick that, you can see it turns red and they no longer have that problem. Show end result. Ooh, look, it's actually only chamfering that spot. Paul, it doesn't work. Chamfer's garbage. It doesn't work. Notice how I didn't turn off sub-object. It's being passed up the stack to the next modifier. Two choices. One, turn off sub-object, or in the chamfer modifier, it has a selection from stack by default, or you can say all edges. And you can see now we don't have any of those ugly errors happening anymore. I can round off the edges and I can get a nice clean looking model. So I can use the amount here to determine how much roundness we're going to get. Pay attention to your edge loops when you do it, because as they start to crash into each other, obviously there's going to be problems and whatnot. But there you go. There's a nice clean corner piece for your mesh, and then it's just simply building from there. So to build from there, to get the other ones in there, the simplest thing actually would be the mirror modifier. And there's actually a new one coming, which is going to be really, oops, not the mirror tool, but the mirror modifier, X mirror modifier. There we go, mirror modifier. And you can see that sub-object center, we have the center here, and we can say copy, so it copies it, and we can get the other side out the other way we want. And of course, I can just take this mirror modifier, say copy and paste. Okay, not paste instance, but paste. And I can change the mirror axis, again, one on the keyboard, and I've got all four of those. And then of course, if I simply paste it again, and this time, same thing, I'm going to go in and put it up, down, and I can have it up top. So I can actually have one do all of the work for me. What's cool about this is when you go to unwrap it, you unwrap it at the above the chamfer, or even then, you might be able to unwrap below the chamfer. Don't collapse the stack unless you absolutely need to. So essentially, you stick your unwrap modifier down here and unwrap this piece. So there's all of that piece. And I'll just go to flatten mapping and just do an auto flatten mapping. There it is unwrapped. So there's the piece unwrapped. And then it is going to go up the stack and it's going to mirror them. So they're all unwrapped in exactly the same space. So when I texture one, I texture all of them. Yep, it's that easy. You got to remember, I'm a lazy guy and I don't like doing things the hard way. So there's the easy way.